mean, I got to LA maybe in 92, 93, and then I guess Sopranos had 99. Maybe we shot it in 97.
Yeah.
So within 7, 8 years, I got a role on The Sopranos with one scene, and thank God they brought me back for Vito.
Yeah, I mean, even though that was a a smaller scene, but it was probably one of the more memorable scenes of season one, especially since the fans are big Goodfellas fans, the Sopranos cast. So there was that huge spider reference. How did you?
Right.
What was it like shooting that scene?
I mean, it was a couple of lines. I was in, I was out. I remember telling the casting director, I like, I said, I really don't want to do TV. I just want to stay with movies. And she laughed and she said, make sure you're here to audition. So I didn't even have an agent. I just happened to, call them up. They said to check him. Benicio really got me started,
Oh, nice.
Benicio del Toro helped me from the first movie I did, and he made me a lead in a short film that he directed and wrote. And yeah, and then he introduced me to the casting directors of The Sopranos. So he's really got me started, but also the waiter that helped me in the restaurant, who's a very dear friend now to this day. He's a working actor. He completed the 4 years with the teacher, Tim Kelleher. So he's gifted. Of course, Benicio is. So those two guys really helped.
No, that's amazing, and being able to to work with Benicio del Toro, I mean, that's an excellent reference, and someone that can help you obviously break into the business, and he's one of the all-time best. Because also too, I mean, you were in that first episode, but you're also one of the longest tenured performers. I think you were in 39 or 40 episodes. You were from season 1 all the way to season 6A. So you're one of the longest cast members of The Sopranos.
Yeah, I made it through, considering it went from one different character to 39 episodes, is an accomplishment. People were getting killed all the time. So I've been blessed. I've been lucky. But, you make your own breaks. And brought me back as Vito. And then I had to kill Jackie Jr. in season 3. And that was big. And then I brought them the idea of making my character gay from a book I was reading, and that's what changed my life around.
Speaking about the Jackie Jr. whacking, so that scene has a lot of controversy. It's debated a lot. You're often compared to like a ninja by how fast you got in and out of there.
I didn't get fed very quickly into the car. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I know you appeared really quick, but it took you a while to get out. Actually, yeah. Now that I remember.
Yeah, but I came out of nowhere, which is hard to believe. So, yeah, that was a big end of season 3.
And if I'm not mistaken, you're also close friends with John Fiore, who plays the Gigi character.
Yeah, Johnny's my guy. Johnny's my guy.
Yeah, he was actually our very first Sopranos interview.
Oh, no kidding. I love Johnny. He's my favorite guy on the whole show.
Love him. Yeah. So were you guys already friends before you joined the show, or did you guys become friends during The Sopranos?
No, not before. During the show, we became friends.
Awesome. And so your character gets an arc. Obviously, you become captain at the end of season 4 after Ralphie gets whacked, and then in season 5, when Christopher gets upset and throws that sandwich, and you reiterate, "Hey, I'm a captain now." Your character was really growing. I mean, you were sitting side by side with Tony. You were going to the meetings in New York, and when Tony was sick in the hospital, you were floating around the idea of maybe if Tony doesn't get out of this, your character could have been the boss.
Yeah, they were setting me up because I became, the big earner for Tony, and they were, building me up with the idea of doing that to my character eventually. So, I didn't know they were going to do it. It took them 2 years. And, yeah, always in meetings and made me a captain and, things were percolating and I knew something was up. So they never actually told me they were going to do it until they did it.
One thing that I always wondered was that scene where Finn catches you and the other construction worker in the parking lot, and how you kind of
Mhm.
force him to go to the baseball game. Were you planning to actually go to the baseball game with him to feel him out, or were you potentially planning a hit on Finn?
That's something with the intentions of the writers, how they wrote it, what they were thinking. Maybe it was to intimidate him. Maybe I liked the kid. Was Meadows' boyfriend, so I don't think anything was going to go on there. But
Yeah.
maybe I wanted to be friendly and do him a favor so he wouldn't rat me out. I mean, who knows? But he never showed up, so we'll never know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you did have a lot of scenes with the late Frank Vincent. What was it like working with Frank Vincent, aka Phil Leotardo?
Well, being Raging Bull was one of my favorite movies of all time, if not the favorite. It was great to work with him and seeing him and talking to him, and it's a shame that he's not here. Uh, he was a dapper guy. Um, I liked him a lot. You know.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely a legend. From you mentioned Raging Bull, Goodfellas, Casino. I was so excited to see him return in the Sopranos, and you guys had a lot of really good, memorable scenes together. I remember he actually referenced you to Travolta in one scene, and I was just watching the Talking Sopranos with Michael Imperioli and Steve Sharippa yesterday, and they mentioned you.
Uh,
I don't know if you saw, but they mentioned you yesterday, and Michael was like, I think there's a meaning to that. They were saying that maybe, and again, I'm just repeating what they said. Were you a pretty good dancer back in the day, or?
I wasn't always this big. I was always athletic, gym guy. Once I got into the restaurants, you don't have time for that. Then my hips went, but that was much later. I was never a dancer. I never danced, but he's a good-looking guy, and I did okay with the girls. So
And you still are. And
yeah,
one thing,
I don't know if they meant I don't know. I mean now they tell me that they're getting into my heavy stuff now um, on the show. So they asked me. Well, Steve asked me to come on, and I had a falling out with Steve, so I refused to go on the show.
got it. Yeah, no, definitely. And yeah, I remember, I watched it yesterday, and I was like, hey, we're about to interview, and I was like, maybe I'll ask him today. So, but another question that I had. So again, your character ends up getting caught, and you go on the run. You're resorting in a suburban town, and and this is another question that I had. I remember seeing a deleted scene where you actually spoke to Tony and Sil, and they're telling you like, hey, come back, and everything will be fine. And then you kind of know, and you maybe think maybe it's a setup, and then you throw the phone away. I don't know if you remember
In the,
shooting.
ga- in the, yeah, no, I do. In the gazebo, I believe,
Yeah, yeah,
by the waterfall. Yeah, I don't know why that was deleted. It's always a time thing. I don't know. Maybe it didn't come out the way they wanted. Uh, I don't know why,
yeah. And
but yeah, I remember that thing.
a part of you, did you think that maybe there was a chance for Vito to get out of this, or you think once he was caught, or once the word was out? Because when you met with Tony at the mall, when I saw you come back, I was like, man, this sounds exciting. You're proposing giving him 200K, going to Atlantic City. It's a more tolerant, atmosphere. It felt like Tony was kind of in on it.
I think he would have went along with it. One is because I was his big earner.
Yeah.
Two is he said live and let live, and who we the judge, and it's whatever year that we said it was. Things are different, but It was also no one was going to do business with him, and Philly Tardo wanted revenge for his brother. So, and it was his cousin, I believe I was married to. So all those factors, back and forth.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then ultimately, we get the scene, and it's a pretty gruesome scene in the hotel room. What was it like shooting the kill off? And actually, how does it work? I mean, do you get a message from David Chase saying, "Hey, this is going to be it," or how do you find out that you're about to get whacked?
Um, well, it's in the next script, and it's probably coming. I tried to talk him out of it. He listened for about 5 minutes, and he just said, "You're going." So that was that.
That was it.
And I would have liked to make a couple of episodes into the sixth season, but I think it ran its course with Vito. I mean, the whole season pretty much focused on me, and if I wasn't in it, they were talking about me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All of season 6A, I mean, you were the primary focus. So, yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think the suggestion worked, and it gave your character a pretty large arc. And I actually enjoyed, kind of seeing you kind of in a different, it was more dramatic, kind of seeing in a different light than just the traditional mobster. Because it seemed like you were considering, like, hey, maybe this what life could have been outside of the mob. But I think in most cases, I think Christopher kind of sensed this too when he was thinking about leaving. You always get drawn back somehow, and then ultimately that's what leads to the demise.
Well, the whole point of suggesting the gay thing was because it's a true story from a book I was reading, and I wanted to show. Obviously, I wanted to, show I can act, prove it to myself. It's easy playing the mob thing because I grew up in Brooklyn around those guys and know how they act and talk and mannerisms, and you wanted more, more work, you wanted to make a name. So all those things factored in, and like I said, I thank God that they went ahead with it and they changed my life.
Absolutely, yeah, and we're thankful. I mean, as a fan, I mean, you were just phenomenal on the show and one of my favorite characters. I'm sure you know that there's a prequel that's about to come out called The Many Saints of Newark. Have you had a chance to see the trailer?
Yes, I did,
What were
and
you-
I only hope it's going to be great. I mean, it looked great. I'm happy for Michael. He was at my wedding. I remember Jimmy took him. He was 8 years old, I think. It's a very, very, I don't want to say big shoes to fill, but it's tremendous pressure. And I just hope that, the movie's great. He does it. I'm sure he'll do a great job, and he's making his father proud. So um, it's a big undertaking. So all those new fans that it's going to attract, it'll make the people watch, the series and vice versa. So it's exciting.
Yeah, because I noticed him in the HBO show The Deuce. And when I first saw him, I was like, man, he looks really familiar because I remember seeing pictures of him when he was younger, but he was phenomenal in The Deuce. And so I'm sure he's had some time to kind of prepare for the role, and he looked really good in the trailer. But yeah, there's definitely some big shoes to fill. But I'm really excited to kind of see, a young Johnny Boy, a young Junior. Hopefully, we could see the scene where Tony and Jackie go in and attack Feach's poker game. Maybe we'll see a young
Right.
version of yourself too. Hopefully, we'll see a young Vito.
Yeah, I doubt it. I doubt it. But you never know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Look forward to it. I mean, it's October 1st, so it'll be here before you know it.
And also, too, the $1 million question. What were your thoughts on the finale? Do you think Tony got whacked at the end?
I never thought so. I don't like to think that he did. I think that life just went on. I'm hoping that they didn't kill him in front of his family. I don't think he got arrested. I don't think he would, I just think that the door closed and life went on. So I never like to think that he was killed.